I was born in New Delhi in 1963, but very shortly after I was born, my parents moved to Pune, and I spent quite a few years in Pune. Then we moved to Chandigarh, which is where I remember doing the bulk of my schooling.
And as the chairman of Microsoft India currently, it is one of the leading roles in the world. How do you go from where you were growing up to now? What did you do?
Uh, Karma. It's good luck and good fortune, the right breaks in life. No, I actually, I understand that this is aimed at young people and trying to inspire them that they can do so much with their lives. And I certainly feel that way. I was born into, I think, a lower middle class family. My father was a government servant, and my mother was a homemaker. And I grew up extremely shy. Okay, I had no self-confidence, and I would, if somebody came into the house, I would hide under the bed and refuse to come out. And those were the sort of really inauspicious beginnings of my life. Two remarkable people played a role in instilling some confidence in me. My mother was extraordinarily bright and ambitious, and since she didn't do much with herself professionally, she lived her life through my sister and me, encouraging us to study and excel. Typical Indian mom, but on steroids. And then in the sixth standard, I remember I had a teacher, Mrs. Malhotra, who said, who saw some small spark in me and she fanned it. And I became like a lion. She thought I would be a good scientist. And that really, really inspired my love for science. And right then I set up a big lab in my house with a full-fledged chemistry lab, biology lab, built my own microscope, built my own telescope, was reading far beyond my years, and from that I got confidence and academic excellence. Then I studied hard and got into IIT somehow. In IIT I studied hard, and I wasn't one of those naturally bright people. Okay, there were people who were just staggeringly smarter than me. But I made up for a lot through just focus and hard work. I knew what I wanted to do. I worked really hard. Then I went abroad, did my higher education just like you did. And then was lucky enough to get some of the right breaks. But I would say that the thing that distinguished my early life was getting a few smart people who gave me confidence at the right point in my life. And number two was just intense work. In my role today, a lot of people come to me for career advice. Boss, what should I do? Should I do X? Should I do Y? And the mantra is always the same. Do what you love what you do, and then things sort of fall into place. So for me, I don't know why, I was just passionately interested in astronomy and biology and chemistry. And my father encouraged me. In fact, I dropped out of school for a year for some health reasons. And that may have been the best thing that ever happened, because I had a year sitting at home, and I shot far ahead of my colleagues who had to go to class and school and so forth. And so I just pursued that, and it was pretty evident to me that I wanted to be a scientist. When I joined IIT, I actually joined the MSc chemistry course. And there was a huge amount of pressure that said, you're a failure if you're going to study chemistry. Okay, having gotten to IIT, you should be an engineer. Mm-hmm. So I switched to engineering. Okay, in engineering, what happened was I realized, I'm not passionate about it. I was passionate about science, but I don't love engineering. I'll be competent, I'll never be great. So I was smart enough to realize this is not it. But I love managing the engineering firms. So I switched more and more into a leadership and management track. So I just, at every stage, have followed what I'm naturally curious about and interested in. I spent 17 years building an engineering company, a diesel engine business. And then suddenly there was this opportunity in 2003, 2004 to join Microsoft. And most people thought it was crazy. I thought it was an April Fool's joke. Why would anybody, Microsoft come calling on a guy who used to have his emails printed by his secretary? Okay, I wasn't techie or anything. But they needed somebody who understood India. And I said, wow, what an interesting opportunity. And at that time, my family, my friends, everybody said, Ravi, you're nuts. You're not going to succeed. Okay, don't take such a foolish risk. I said, fine, at least I'm going to learn something, even if I fail. and that was 7 years ago. Now I'm taking an even bigger risk. As we speak, I've actually decided to quit Microsoft, and I'm going to take a year off. It's a sabbatical where I'm writing a book. So what I'd love to do is, get people who are going to watch this, young people, to say, follow your dreams, okay? You don't always have to do what parents, family, and society around you tells you. If you listen to your inner voice, you're going to be far unstoppable. You're going to be far more successful. I don't think I ever imagined I would be doing the things I did. And most of the kids who grew up with me are shocked that I was able to achieve quite a lot professionally. So it's got to be a intersection, a Venn diagram between what you love doing and what you're distinctively good at. It's not good enough to just have a love for something. I might love cricket, but I have no hand-eye coordination. I'm not going to be a great cricketer, okay? So you've got to think through, what is it that I really enjoy, and is there a gift that I have where it's truly sort of God-given, where I'm better than anybody else I know at it. If you can then make the two things come together, that's when magic happens. So for me, I loved science, but I was also extraordinarily good at it. There was an aptitude for it. And so it happened. I was actually lousy at mathematics, which was a big shame and embarrassment for my father, who was probably one of the finest mathematicians India had produced of his generation. And so he used to just pound me saying, my God, why can't you be good at maths? But I had no love for the subject. Okay, so it was never physics and maths. It was chemistry, biology, and astronomy that so you've got to think through what it is you're genuinely good at. So this hypothetical kid, you say, loves statistics. Well, then you're probably going to be a better commentator than on the field, okay? So I would say that kid should go in that direction. I was very fortunate that I got to know Bill quite well Bill Gates, before he retired. He sort of really tapered down his involvement with Microsoft from 2006 onwards. But there was that 2-year period where and he loved India and used to visit often, so I got to spend a lot of time. And I used to ask myself, what is it that makes this man Bill Gates? And people think, oh, he's so smart. He's smart, but Jay, I can argue we've all known people who are at least as smart. So that itself doesn't, give the clue. For me, the real thing I learned by watching people like Bill is, number one, incredible passion. Okay, they absolutely pursue what they're passionate about. Okay, those who've seen this movie called The Social Network about Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, you see the same thing again. A young kid who's just so focused and passionate that he drops everything in order to pursue that passion. And you see that in Bill time and time again. He drops out of Harvard to start Microsoft. Okay, he drops Microsoft at the peak of the company in order to start the Gates Foundation and commit the rest of his life to giving away his wealth. So I think passion is number one. The second one is incredible risk-taking capacity. Okay, most of us actually make one big mistake, and I'm certainly guilty of it. We don't take enough risks in life. Okay, and everything that has led to my professional success has happened because I took risks. Okay, I took a risk to leave home and go to IIT. Now you can say that's not a big risk, but for me it felt like a big one because I was leaving home. Okay, and I was a shy young person, and living in a hostel was terrifying. I left India with $20 in my pocket. Okay, $20, that's all, because in those days you wouldn't get much foreign exchange, etc. And I went to the US, and it worked out really well. I made a decision when my career was going really well to leave the US and come back to India in 1996. That time India wasn't shining, okay? But I said, no, I think things are going to really take off, and I took a risk. I took a huge risk leaving Cummins after 17 years to join Microsoft against the advice of everybody I knew who said, Ravi, you're going to fail. Don't do this. So every time I've taken a risk, it has worked out. Now I've taken a risk walking away from Microsoft, a company that's been very nice to me, okay, because I want to do something different. So that's another thing I learned by looking at Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer and a few other people, which is take risk. It usually works out.